The coffee shop hummed with the usual Saturday morning crowd when Maya walked in. At 58, she still felt that familiar flutter of nerves before meeting someone new. Her silver-streaked hair was pulled back Nelly, and she wore her favorite blue sweater, the one her daughter said brought out her eyes. Her friends from the book club had insisted on this. "You've been alone for 5 years now," they'd said. "It's time." What Maya didn't know was that Linda and Patricia had made this a game. A cruel little experiment to see what would happen when they set up the deaf woman with someone they'd found online. Maya spotted him immediately. David sat by the window, and something about his presence commanded the space without demanding it. He was perhaps 60, with distinguished gray at his temples and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. When he saw her approach, he stood, and that simple gesture of respect made her heart skip. She placed her phone on the table, her lifeline for communication, and began typing. "Hello, I'm Maya. Thank you for meeting me." David read it and smiled. Then he did something unexpected. He pulled out his own phone and typed back, "The pleasure is mine. I ordered you a cappuccino. My daughter tells me it's what people drink at these things." Maya laughed, a sound she couldn't hear but could feel in her chest. She typed, "Your daughter gives good advice." What neither of them knew was that Linda and Patricia sat 3 tables away, phones out, ready to record the awkward encounter they'd orchestrated. They'd told David that Maya was a successful businesswoman looking for companionship. They'd told Maya that David was a widower who wanted to meet someone kind. Both things were true, but the women had left out one crucial detail to each of them. David typed, "I should tell you something. My daughter Sophia, she's deaf. Has been since birth. I learned sign language when she was 2 years old. I've spent 28 years in the deaf community." Maya's hands trembled as she read his words. She looked up at him, eyes glistening, and slowly signed, "You know ASL?" His face transformed with recognition and joy. He signed back fluidly, "Yes. This is wonderful. I'd much rather sign than type. Your hands tell me so much more than words on a screen ever could." For the first time in years, Maya felt truly seen. Across the room, Linda's smile faded. This wasn't going according to plan. Maya and David fell into conversation as naturally as old friends reuniting. He told her about Sophia, now 28, and a graphic designer. How raising her alone after his wife passed had been the hardest and most rewarding journey of his life. How it taught him that communication isn't about sound, but about truly listening with your whole heart. Maya shared her story too, about losing her hearing at 35 to an illness, how her husband had left shortly after, unable to cope with what he called her disability, how she'd rebuilt herself, learned to navigate a world that wasn't designed for her, and found strength she never knew she possessed. "People think silence is empty," David signed, "but I've learned it's full of everything that matters." 2 hours passed like minutes. When Patricia finally approached their table, her expression was tight with something that might have been shame. "Maya," she said loudly and slowly, "the way people do when they assume deaf means simple. We should go soon." David watched this interaction and something shifted in his expression. He stood, and there was a quiet authority in the movement that made Patricia step back. Maya typed on her phone so Patricia could see, "I'm not ready to leave yet." "Well," Patricia said, her voice artificially bright, "I just thought since this was obviously a pity date—" "Excuse me," David said, his voice calm but firm. "I don't believe we've met. I'm David Morrison." Patricia's face went white. "Morrison? As in Morrison Technologies?" "Yes," he said simply. "And I'm going to ask you something important. Did you set this up as some kind of joke? Because if you did, I want you to know that you've done something remarkable. You've introduced me to the most interesting person I've met in years." Linda had joined them now, and both women looked like they wanted to disappear into the floor. David continued, "I spent 3 decades building a company on the principle that everyone deserves to be heard, to be valued, to be given real opportunities. My VP of operations is deaf. My head of design is deaf. Some of the most brilliant minds I know communicate without sound." He turned to Maya and signed, "Would you like to leave with these people, or would you like to have dinner with me tonight?" Maya's smile was radiant. She signed back, "Dinner sounds perfect." As they walked out together, leaving Linda and Patricia frozen in their seats, David offered his arm and Maya took it. Not because she needed support, but because sometimes kindness is just about walking alongside someone and letting them know they're not alone. That night at dinner, David told her, "You know what I've learned in 60 years? The people who matter don't care about the ways we're different. They care about the ways we're human." Maya signed, and what makes us human? The courage to keep opening our hearts even after they've been broken, the wisdom to see that what others call limitations are often just different ways of experiencing this beautiful, complicated world. 6 months later, at their wedding, Sophia signed the most beautiful toast about how love doesn't need words, it just needs witnesses willing to pay attention. And Linda and Patricia? They learned something too, that the jokes we play on others reveal far more about us than they ever could about them. Sometimes the universe has a way of turning our cruelty into someone else's joy. And sometimes the people we underestimate are exactly the ones who teach us what strength really means. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories about the unexpected kindness that changes lives. Leave a comment telling us about a time when someone saw you for who you truly are. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.